Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is Logan Stump. How are you today, Logan?
Could be a lot better, but we tread on. Onward, forward, as Ted Lasso would say.
Yes, and we are here. This episode is all about the World Cup. USA versus Wales, post-match reactions. We'll also talk a little bit about Group A and the rest of Group B and look ahead to Friday's match. For Friday's coverage, I think it might just be me post-game. I'm not going to probably go live. Logan will be traveling. So I probably wouldn't be good live anyway right now because I'd be like so stressed watching the game. So I think we'll go with a post-game wrap-up like this. But it'll probably be closer to actual final whistle just because it is the holiday and I'm off. So that'll be a little easier than, waiting for us to get off work and record this thing. But yeah, so we are talking the World Cup, USA versus Wales, the first USA game in the World Cup for 8 years. And let me tell you, I was getting a little nervous before the game. And then I was also getting really excited at the same time. It was a whirlwind of emotions, just like the game that we witnessed that took place after those nerves. USA started off really hot in this game. And it was Timothy Weah scored to make it a 1-0 lead for the USA, and everything looked to be going pretty well. But the US just couldn't get the second goal that would have really helped put Wales away. And in fact, I know a lot of people say we didn't come out of I saw some people say we didn't come out of the lockers in the second half of the game. And it started to turn before then. Because I remember thinking to myself, all right, let's just get into half one up and try to come back out and reorganize ourselves because it was starting to slip away from us at the end of the first half. So that was kind of the first half story, right? And then second half, they don't really come out well. It was almost all Wales until, God, I don't even know when. It just felt like it was all Wales for a good chunk of the time. And then what you're going to end up getting, and we'll dive into more of the stuff. It's not just going to be like a 5-minute recap, but you end up with a penalty. I've seen some people say that, well, the ball may have been out of play in the build up to the penalty. To me, that doesn't matter because sometimes those things are going to be missed. You can't, as a defender, do that sort of challenge, do that sort of tackle, and put the ref in a position where they're going to make the call. And that is what killed us at this moment. I think maybe we do hang on and win. It's tough. You never know at this point. But once you give up the penalty and you're giving a person an opportunity to score just yards away with nobody between them and the keeper, most of the time it's going to get converted. And especially when it's Gareth Bale, most of the time it's going to be converted. And I was right. He broke my heart twice in the span of a month, and I'm pissed off. 3 weeks. In the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks, right? The last 2 weeks, Logan. This mother effer is the one that's going to take me to an early grave.
He's not very nice. I mean, to be honest, what did we do to you? I mean, honestly,
we gave you a job
right.
at LA. Come on, man.
Unbelievable, this guy. But you're right, Jordan. I mean, you cannot concede a penalty to what was one of the best players in the world at a time when he was in his prime, and he plays so well for Wales. It was like destiny. Just to have him absolutely just rip. You know what I was thinking about today, Jordan? I was on my way to work, and I'm going, I hate being a U.S. fan just because Gareth Bale seems to be looming over Jordan right now, and Jordan's a U.S. men's national team fan, and I'm just like, this guy's just going to break our heart again. And then, frick if he didn't. I mean, it was unbelievable, but I'm sure we'll get deeper into it if you want. We can talk that tackle eventually, but
yeah. So let's talk broad stuff, I guess, right now, right? Just things because I don't have any organized show notes. I was, you know, this game was not on an opportune time, right? So anyway, I didn't get to take any notes, but I was making mental notes as I'm going on, right? And like the first 15 minutes, the USA was hot. It was like 17th minute, we started to not be able to break them down anymore, and we started kind of like cycling the ball from the wings to the defenders, back to the next wing, back to the defenders, back to the next wing. And it was kind of like in this thing where they were going super low block. Wales really pushing into the box. You know what? That's how they played when I played them in FIFA. And it frustrated me. I couldn't break them down. Right. So what I do, turn the difficulty down and run it all the way up and win them, win the World Cup. Take that, Bale. But anyway, it was frustrating in that regard because we had a few chances early on where it wasn't really like shots. Like Sargent had a good header that ended up wide. Um, and again, people just jump on this stuff immediately where they're like, he's got to put that away. And I've seen people say like, oh, Jesus Fair would have scored that, you know, Dallas fans. And I was like, I don't think so. But Sargent has a better track record. But what it comes to is sometimes players need those chances. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I think during the tune-up games in September. Sometimes like players just need chances. You know, they're going to get one and then they're going to be like, okay, maybe next time they're going to put that one away. Now, and teams as a whole need chances. Very rarely you're going to score on your first shot on goal. Sometimes that happens, I would say, but a lot of times it comes this thing of like where they're building. Oh, they've had like they've been peppering the goal. They're going to get one here in a second. This game didn't really have that because there wasn't really a lot of shots on target, a lot of goals, or a lot of shots. It was just like the buildup. You're like, oh, they're getting into space, they're getting the ball in. Sargent just missed. Like this is good. They're feeling it out. It slowed down. You know, in the 17th minute is when I looked at the clock and I was like, okay, we're back to cycling the ball around a lot because we can't break them down. Then what it is. Um, so then we get into this whole you cycling the ball around, not being able to break them down, but then we do, right? We do. Sargent with the header, Pulisic brings it down. He's on a run. Pulisic runs. He makes a pass to Weah. Weah goes in. He takes the one chance he has, puts it away, and the first player since Pele to score on Wales in a World Cup. So congrats to Timothy Weah. And then you go from that to, I felt like we had some chances after that goal, but then what is usually characteristic of this team is when we have a lead, we end up not pushing as much. And near the end of this first half, Wales was starting to get more in control. I felt like halftime came at a good spot. And then we came out and didn't really capitalize on having the halftime break. So you can put that on whoever you want to put that on, I guess. I see a lot of people complain about the subs. I think most of the subs were fine. So some people complain about Musa coming off, but he was like hobbling around for a bit. So I'm fine with him coming off, and I think Acosta did fine. So I'm not too upset about that. The one is the Jordan Morris in for Reina. Now, Greg has since said that I'm trying to find the exact quote here. Greg has since said that he is that he had felt a little tightness. Gio has in the run up to the week, and they were kind of treating him cautionly with the friendly that they had behind closed doors with a Qatar club team. And Reina, of course, says he's fully healthy. And a lot of people are like, well, who's lying then? And I don't think either of them are. I think Reina, like any player, goes out there and says he's completely fine and he wants to play. It's a World Cup. He wants to play the game. And I think Greg and the team is thinking, all right, you're like 95% there, but like we really want to make sure you're ready for England, and we're not going to risk this game. You can say if that's a good or bad call. I don't really know. right? But I don't think that means one of them is lying. I see a lot of people saying like, "Well, Greg is obviously lying." Why would he lie about it? It's dumb. We see this in the NFL all the time. There's people that end up getting concussions, Logan, that try to go back into the game or will go back into the game because, and I think Landon mentioned this on the broadcast for the first game, England, Iran. The goalkeeper got like knocked out. He's on the ground for 10 minutes and he continued to try playing. And like Landon said, you need those professionals there to be able to say, no, you're not ready to go out there, or you can't continue playing because the player will want to go out there. And especially in a tournament that only comes around every 4 years, this is different than NFL Week 13. It is a tournament that is only there every 4 years or every 4.5 in this case. But, and it ends up being well, I want to go out there and play. And it sounds like he's supposed to play against England, that they feel like he's going to have enough rest at that point to do it. But I don't know. That's the main thing I can say Greg got wrong here. Otherwise, the lineup was strong, surprised everyone. And Wales adjusted. And when Wales adjusted, the U.S. didn't adjust. So that's probably something else on Greg here. But the main thing that killed us was a poor decision by a defender in the box when Bale's not even facing goal. And that is the thing that you can, I guess, put it on the coach if you want. But when a player makes a decision like that, that is just the player making a decision. And Zimmerman was good all game until that moment. Tim Ream was outstanding this game, and Tyler Adams was man of the match. Like, those were the best players on the pitch. Zimmerman was really good until that baffling tackle, and not really sure what made him do it. Maybe he was just nervous, worried they would score. I don't know. Trying to be a hero. What do you think, Logan? Make somebody make a decision like that?
And I texted you this, that it was uncharacteristically stupid for Walker Zimmerman, who is not usually, and if people don't watch MLS, this guy is probably the best defender in MLS, a league that does have really good defenders. I know a lot of people poo-poo on the MLS, but I mean, Walker Zimmerman could play in a Big Four league, just because of how talented he is. So this is a player that has won multiple awards for just being an absolute anchor to one of the best defenses in the whole league, in Nashville for most of the time that he's been there. I think it's a little bit of. I think he thought he could get to the ball and make a big play. I think that was part of it, because I think it doesn't look like much of like, he's scared because Gareth Bale has the ball in the box. It looked more of like, let me make a big play here, and you didn't need a big play. If you watch the clip, even the touch that Gareth Bale has in the box, it's not a good touch. It starts to leak away from him. So, it makes it look even worse if you slow it down, just because the ball gets away from Gareth Bale. And had Walker Zimmerman just made him beat him, I don't think Gareth Bale gets around him and Matt Turner all at one point. So I think just the way, plus I think it's going away from his left foot, which is his dominant foot. So I think there's just a whole lot of mixed things that it would not have gone well for Gareth. And I think Walker just ultimately tried to make a really good play when he didn't need to make a good play. You just had to stand up in front of him and say, you know what, let me just see if he can beat me, because I know I'm good defensively. So, and that's the other thing that confuses me, is both of them have been so good all game. And the fact that he felt like he had to go make some kind of heroic play on Gareth Bale kind of confuses me. But I don't know. It seems a whole lot more like he was just trying to make a big play and he didn't get to the ball and up in it, and just stupidity. I mean, it was just a lack of knowing what's going on in the situation in which you're in. And maybe it's the stage is a little too bright. I don't know. Like, I think at a moment you just kind of, oh my gosh, I see the ball. Let me make a big play on Gareth Bale. Didn't need to. But really, I mean, just without that, Jordan, I mean, you and I talked about this. We win the game. I think the U.S. had them absolutely stunned, and they played really well in the second half, and we'll get to Kiefer Moore and what's happened there. But I mean, just overall, I mean, it felt really good. I felt really great. I mean, just like listening to it, I just felt like the United States had that advantage, and you just felt comfortable. And that was, with this team, like you said, we're used to it. We've been watching World Cup qualifying. The last, 20 minutes is really a tough time for this team to put games away. And they did.
Well, what I've been telling people, what this reminds me of? This reminds me of 2014 when you had a lead against Portugal and you
Yep.
give it up in stoppage time. This wasn't stoppage time, but it's what I mean by that is, and I saw somebody who's like, well, they
They're
responded
not
to me saying,
Portugal.
yeah, they responded to me saying, well, that was not Wales. And I'm like,
Thank
yeah,
you.
no, it was Portugal, which a lot of people didn't really rate as a good team until they won the Euros anyway in 2016. But anyway, people used to be back then be like, it's Ronaldo and that's it. And that's how people treat Wales. It's Bales and that it. But it's not. There's more than that. But what I mean by that is it is a draw that feels like a loss. And it's brutal. It is brutal because you think we had it and we let it go. And there was another game that feels kind of similar in that case a bit, I guess, and that's the Slovenia and USA 2010 game, which finished 2-2. But USA did have a Michael Bradley goal that was called wrongfully offside or for a foul. It was a really bad reffed game. That's another one where you felt like we had the win and they took it from us. In this case, we gave it to them. I think 2014 was just Ronaldo scoring, and that was something you couldn't anticipate. This was a gift. But what I meant by that really is it's a win. It's a game that you felt like you should win. You were on the path to winning, and even though it's a draw, even though a draw is fine in this scenario, and I'll tell you why in a second, it feels like a loss, and it feels like a crushing loss where I see overreactions left and right all over Twitter, all over Facebook, of people just saying stuff like MLS lost us the game. Greg, we're already out of the World Cup. People saying it's mind-boggling bad takes that I see right now, and I see some people saying that kind of stuff that have not turned on a soccer game in 4 years, and that is the kind of stuff that upsets me too. Is because I'm like, you don't even know the sport. Like I saw some people saying it's Pulisic and 10 like DoorDash drivers on this team, and I'm like, Pulisic is one of the talented players, but we have more talented players than Christian Pulisic on this team. And another thing is, why the hell is Christian continuing to take set pieces? He's been awful at them forever. We've seen it all the time. He can barely get it past the first person on a corner, and it continued to happen today. Is there really nobody else on this team that can do a better job at set pieces? That's what I want to know. Like, I know Acosta takes them usually when he's in, but it's like, is there really nobody else that can step up and just get it over the first person? Whether it's a free kick, whether it's a corner kick, this has been an issue for Christian the whole time. And it becomes one of these things where I feel like a lot of times people just think the number 10 has to do it, right? Usually you'll see like, well, Messi's going to take this free kick and he's going to put it in. Ronaldo's going to step up and take this free kick and put it in. Wayne Rooney is going to step up. David Beckham, all these players that were like the star of their team. They don't have to do everything, right? They just need to be able to get somebody that can actually put the ball in a spot for like Haji Wright or Sargent to head it in. That is what the corner should be. Christian can't do that, and he hasn't been able to do that as long as he's been a member of this team. So I saw somebody say, I want to know what he does in training for set pieces because he's been awful at them forever. And that is true. So I don't know. Here's why I'll tell you why a draw is not terrible. All right. Let's look at how it's set up for this World Cup, right? Right now, we have 1 point. Wales has 1 point. Iran has nothing. And Iran is almost out of the World Cup because of the goal differential. England smashed Iran 6-2. So now that leaves England first, Wales and USA tied for second. And yes, Iran's only 1 point behind, but they have a 4-goal differential worse than the USA and Wales. Wales faces Iran next. We face England, and by the time we face England, the other game should be over. right? I think that's another Friday game for Wales.
Yeah, it
Let me
is.
just double check because sometimes they structure these weird. It's a 5 a.m. game.
Mhm.
So we will know by the time we take the field the layout of the rest of the group so far. With Wales and Iran only having one game left, we'll know what we need to do with 2 games left. You can't worry about that too much if you're a player, but like fan wise, it'll be nice to kind of be able to speculate on stuff. Okay, so Wales beats Iran. Let's say they have 4 points. USA draw with um, England. That's the goal, right? Draw with England. You have 2 points. Wales would have 4, and the England would have 4. The next thing you would want is for one of Wales or England to probably win. I guess they could draw. It wouldn't really matter. At that point, it's on you to face Iran and beat them and get through. And while I said before, I don't want to have an Iran game mean a lot, it's going to. But if it does mean a lot, I'm sure Iran will still get up for the game. But at that point, they might be knocked out. And if they're knocked out, and England battered them, I think we can. Iran sat back most of that game, and England were able to break them down. If the USA can take what they learned when they just faced Wales and face a worse team in Iran and be able to score more than one goal, I think the USA could beat that game. And at that point, you would have a draw from here, a draw from England, 3 points from Iran. You can finish with 5. And then you would want England or Wales to win if Wales beats if Wales beats Iran and England draws with the USA, they would both have 4. So you want one of them to win. So that way you get to somebody having 7, you having 5, and then 4, and then 1 or 0, right? That's like your path. And it's a very reminiscent path to 2010. So here we go. England and USA drew 1-1 to start the 2010 World Cup. The next game was that Slovenia USA game that was 2-2. Then, so at that point, USA has 2 points. England at that point has 2 points because they drew with Algeria. Slovenia has 4 points because they actually beat Algeria and drew with the USA. So at that point, Slovenia has 4, while everybody else has 2, and Algeria has 1. And I think most people think, wow, Slovenia might get out of this group. USA and England, it's up to only one of them to get through. Wrong. They both moved through. Slovenia loses to England, and USA beat Algeria in the last game, and they both went through with 5 points. It is still possible to get through. And in fact, whenever the USA has either won or drew their first game, they have made it through to the next round. So there is positivity here. I don't want to have everybody just be like totally off the rails. You can get through. Another one that went, I was looking to see if I could find another one that was very similar, but the most similar one is that 2010 World Cup. 2014, we obviously started with a win. Then we drew with Portugal. And then we lost to Germany and got through with 4 points. We have 1. If we can just get 3 more, you're probably through. That is the main point I'm trying to make here. Get through with 4 or 5 points, and you're golden to get through this group, I think.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that I think what people see when they're watching this to start, you went from an 84% chance being up 1-0 to now having a 46% chance, I think it said. And
I think it was
looking at,
59.
is it 59 now?
I think that's what Landon said. If 59% for a group that draws.
I saw somebody write, I don't know what I saw then. I saw somebody write a table out that said 46%. But either way, I mean, the U.S. has the best chance from the odds are considered to advance, just because. I mean, I look at this and I think Wales are a good team, but I think Iran didn't play as well against England, and I think they're comparable to the U.S. and Wales. So I do think that there's a likelihood that Iran either draws with Wales, Iran could beat Wales. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. I think what we'd probably be rooting for a draw would be best case scenario, like a 0-0
For
draw
who?
for Wales and Iran. Would that be the best case
I would
scenario?
actually say an Iran win would be
Iran win would be
perfect.
better. Yeah. Well, that's true
An
because that's
Iran win
right
would be
because
perfect.
like a 1-0
Because then
Iran
you're
win would
still
be
in
great.
you're in ultimate control
That's
then
true.
because
Yeah, because
if
you
you
control.
draw with England and England has 4 points and you have 2 points and Iran has 3 because they beat Wales and Wales has 1, you go in and face Iran and you can hopefully win that game and you're good. I'm going to be actually really curious on the Iran Wales game because they both play the exact same style of just sitting back and waiting for somebody. I don't know what that game's going to be like for those two teams. Like, who's going to be the one with the ball? Wales? I don't know. Or Iran. I don't really know how that game's going to work. And I probably won't see it because it's at 5 a.m. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm waking up on Black Friday at 5 a.m. for that game. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I think Iran, like I really do. I don't think they played well at all. Plus, England is on this path of like they're one of the favorites to win the World Cup. Now that doesn't mean either. I think people look down the gauntlet and go, okay, well we've got England next, and that can't go well.
We've
I mean,
never lost them in a World
I was
Cup.
going to say, and the U.S. team actually, I was watching England play today. A U.S. team, I think, matches up pretty darn well with England. I will say, I don't know what it is about our style, but I think because it's more European, I guess, and much more, I guess, similar to the way that England like to play. I think we're very similar in that
I'll
aspect.
tell you what it is. All right, it's we play to our opponent's level.
That's true. That is it.
Wales
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We let them right
100%.
back into it.
Yep.
England, we're going to be up for it. I guarantee you we'll be up for it. And we'll probably play well. And I assume a 1-1, 0-0 draw, something like that. And maybe 2-2. Who knows? And then the Iran game that you hope to blow them away because England beat them 6-2 will probably be a 1-0 USA win or something. You know, and it's like, that's what's frustrating about the team, right? Is that no matter who we're playing against, it seems like it's like we will rise or fall to meet your level. And part of it is, look, this team is young. I don't want to hear how talented they are. They are young. They've never experienced this in their life, right? Yedlin is the only player on this team that has ever experienced what just happened. So that is something that, and you know what? The ref was awful too. And that's part of it. Pulisic was the most fouled player on the field. I just saw this stat. I forget who posted this. And Wales got 2 yellow cards. USA got 4. And, you know, 2 of them were in the first like 15 minutes to both the right-hand side of the midfield. So, and the defense. At that point, you're like, okay, they're going to just keep attacking down that side. And then you have to sub them out. You have to sub McKennie out. You have to sub Dest out because you're worried about a potential another bad yellow card call by a ref that's going to make it a red card. So I understand the decision when people are like, why are they putting in Yedlin? I understand putting Yedlin in over Scally. I do. I understand that over Shaq Moore because this is a guy who's been in a World Cup. And it's a 1-1 game or a 1-0 game at that point. I totally understand the call to put Yedlin in that sense. The only baffling one for me is the Gio Reyna. And if he's healthy enough to play on Friday, I think he would be healthy enough to go today. But obviously they're worried about something. And is that thing to be worried about the right call? I see some people saying, like Chris Smith, friend of the show, is like, you want to get the 6 points against Iran and Wales, why save him for England? Well, guess what? Even if we put Reyna in, we might end up with the same situation where it's 1-1, and then we also need him for England. Like, we can't put all our eggs in the basket of Wales and Iran. You have to get a result from England. I don't care. You have to. You can technically still move on if you lose, but at that point, it is really pushing it at that point on what you're going to be able to do. You would need Wales to then beat England and Iran, so that way they have 7 points, and then you have to beat Iran, and you would have 4 points, and you have to hope that England doesn't even get a draw against Wales, and that's why Wales needs to win. Right? I don't know. That is messy at that point if you lose this next game. And that's why the 3 points would have been crucial today. But it doesn't mean Reina coming in immediately wins you the game either. It's what at that point, was it 1-0 still, or was it 1-1? I have to check.
It would have been 1-1.
Because the goal was 82nd minute. Jordan Morris came in
84th, right?
In the 88th. At that point, it's barely any time. Now you had 10 minutes of stoppage time, but maybe you say bring them in earlier, right?
Stoppage time is like playing with your hair on fire. That's what I relate it to. It could be 10, 15 minutes. It feels like you're just running around with your chicken like a head cut off. But I mean, and the other thing too is that I think, Jordan, you can look at all the positives. I think everybody played well. Like, I think everybody, like, we didn't step on the pedal, but I think the U.S. going forward into England go, okay, guys, we're playing really well. We might have some banged up players, but everybody's going to have banged up players. Iran lost their goalkeeper, and I don't think he'll play for the rest of the tournament. Looked like a broken nose or concussion. So, I mean, everybody's the Walking Dead, really. I mean, and England didn't look special. I mean, they got 6, but that was just because Iran was awful. I mean, like, I think they looked good because it ends up being 2-0, 3-0, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose.
That's we'll definitely see how it looks. And part of it is that they had to remove their goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think when he came out, it was still 0-0. So, I mean, that obviously plays a factor in there as well. Yeah. But what I'm looking at here is, what did I just see somebody say on here? I'm just like, going off the cuff here. I saw somebody say something that made me pause a second. Oh yeah, the foul by Acosta, which saved the match. I think I mentioned it earlier. This was huge. Matt Turner came out of nowhere. He probably didn't have to head the ball, and then it falls to Gareth Bale's feet at midfield. He is about to line up a chip for the empty net as Turner is rushing back to it, and Acosta just takes him out from behind, gets a yellow. But guess what? That doesn't matter. You take the yellow there. It was obviously 100% the correct call to do, and it ends up saving it. Bale's thinking he's got the shot here. He's lining it up. He's about to take it. Acosta just comes barreling in from the back to his LAFC teammate, knocks him off, right? And gets the free kick, which allows Turner to go back, which allows them to get themselves back. And if Bale puts that in, it is not, I see people saying it's a disaster now. It is a disaster if Bale puts that in, because that would be another boneheaded move, because I don't think Turner needed to come out for that. So you end up having like 2 key mistakes off of your best goalkeeper in your squad and one of your better defenders in the squad. That would be brutal. And then you would really be stuck, because you'd have to win against England. You'd have to win against Iran. Like, that's what you would have to probably aim to do those next 2 matches if you lost this one. It'd be Wales and England with 3 points at the top of the group, and you would be almost buried at that point. So thank you, Kellyn Acosta. That was a genius tackle. I'm glad he had the heads-up ability to do that. I thought Brendan Aronson looked good. I saw some people complaining about him. He was just very lively, making runs.
He did what you want a sub to do. Like, he came in with energy. That's all you ask for a sub. He's not going to change I think he'll get the start against England, because here's the other thing though. I found interesting though, is they were talking about the guys playing against England and how Iran, and this I think is 100% true. Iran, they don't have guys that are used to playing Premier League talent at all. You look at the U.S. team and you start from the top to the bottom. You've got Matt Turner, who's at Arsenal, who's playing Premier League, backup soccer, but still Premier League. Serginho Dest, who plays that type of talent. He's in La Liga. You've got Tim Ream, who's playing in Premier League. You've got Jedi, who's playing in Premier League. You got Tyler Adams playing Premier. Yunus Musa is used to playing that kind of competition. Weston McKennie's in Serie A playing for Juventus. Tim Weah, used to playing that type of competition. Josh Sargent, used to playing that type of competition. Christian Pulisic, used to sitting and watching that kind of competition. So you really do have, guys that are used to Premier League soccer. I think Tyler Adams, I think Christian Pulisic, especially, I think Christian, this next game, you're going to see a different level of Christian Pulisic that we've not seen for quite some time just because of how pissed off he is about his situation where he's currently playing. I think you see a different monster there. I think you see these young guys go, don't forget about us. Tyler Adams, probably the best 6 in the whole Premier League right now. It really does. I think that this next game sets up nicely. And I think you can't forget the fact that all these guys used to playing that top level talent. So they're not going to walk into this England game and go, holy crap, who are these people? They're going to go in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because I think they're oftentimes overlooked, where some of these England guys, they walk on water. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup. But I really would not be shocked, Jordan, if we walked with at least a point against England. And that's kind of what you hope.
Fox Sports just made an absolute blunder on Twitter.
What'd they do now?
This Friday, USA versus Wales at 1 p.m. ET on Fox. No, we just played Wales. It's England.
And not at 1 o'clock either.
Well, that's when they do the pregame.
Oh, okay.
They shouldn't.
I thought you meant they posted a picture of I don't know.
No, they just shouldn't have the rights to the World Cup. But anyway, yeah. So there you go. That is, I think, most of what we can say about this game. Anyway, we'll probably look at some other games. But yeah, I totally think Ream is a lock to start right. You can't put Aaron Long in against England.
Aaron Long might never see the field again.
Tim Ream played a hell of a game. And the fact that he was on the outs of this team and just got called in due to his form, when people thought Greg wouldn't do it, you have to commend some stuff that Greg does. I don't care if you hate the guy. Nobody thought he was bringing in Tim Ream, and he did. And Tim Ream played a hell of a match, and he started, and that was great.
And this is the best lineup he's ever thrown out there since he's
Weah starting was great.
Yeah.
I know some people were saying Reyna should, but
nope.
Weah's the one that scored. It ended up being fine, right? The thing I have to look at is going against England. I would love to see somebody else on set pieces, but I feel like it's going to be Pulisic. I would like to see. I don't know if Reyna's going to start. Maybe they'll rotate and put Reyna in instead of Weah, and then be able to bring Weah in for the second half against England. And then I'm thinking, I don't know what other changes I would make. I think the midfield's probably, it depends on if McKennie's healthy. He was kind of struggling along with Musa, but you could put Acosta in there if you need it to. But I'm assuming you're going to see most of the same lineup except for maybe Reyna in for Weah if he's really good to go. If he's not fully good to go, then I'm thinking Weah starts again and Reyna comes in the 60th minute when the USA needs a goal.
Haji Wright.
Haji Wright came in. He didn't get much of a time to actually do anything, but yeah. Look, this team is young. They're gonna have this stuff. They're gonna have the growing pains here. They're second youngest team in the World Cup right now, and I think they were going to be the youngest, but they brought along Yedlin and Ream, which I think pushed and Sean Johnson, which pushed them over to the second youngest. But you have a team that only has had one person play World Cup experience, and you might say, well, Wales has no World Cup experience, but they've played in a couple Euros recently, which is a pretty tough tournament for them as well. It's not the equivalent to the Gold Cup here, right? Our players' closest thing that they've experienced to a Euros is the World Cup or the Copa America that was in 2016, which none of those players are playing on this team, except for Pulisic if he was on that team. So that's what I'm kind of looking at as, you could say Wales doesn't have World Cup experience, but they have Euros experience. They have big tournament experience more than we do. Our Nations League, our Gold Cup is nothing compared to theirs because we're playing all those games here every single time, while they're usually, at an actual hostile environment. Wales would be for tournaments. Anything else about this game before we move on to maybe looking at the rest of the groups?
No, I don't think so. I just think Kalinikos is a good option to have as a backup. I mean, I think he does exactly what you want. I would be. It'll be interesting to kind of see how Christian kind of grew into the game as the game went, but it
Yeah.
still would be interesting to kind of see just how his form kind of picks up. Just because, I mean, look at it. He just hasn't played in enough competition. Even he's starting to kind of shake off some of the rust. So I think a lot of guys. I think Weston McKennie, the same thing, shaking off the rust is a big thing for him, just because they've been hurt. But Matt Turner, I thought Matt Turner played well for not having played. So I think all signs are good, Jordan. I think as long as they're all healthy, like you said, I think there were 4 or 5 guys that were banged up after the match. So maybe maybe if they're not healthy, that's not good. But
all right. So there you go. That is all we can really say on Wales and the U.S. men's national team facing off. But we're going to look ahead to the rest of the group here. Earlier today, England beat Iran 6-2 to put themselves in prime position to move on and really hurt Iran's chances to move on in this group. Could that kill Iran's spirit in that last game? I guess it really depends on what Iran does here against Wales. If Wales gives them another battering, maybe, but I think Iran will always get up for the U.S. because of the history of the two nations politically, and they even had some run-ins in the FIFA World Cup before. I know you kind of hint at what you thought of this game, that it was maybe more of Iran looking bad, but I saw a lot of people say England looked very scary. Again, I think the USA can rise to the occasion and will probably get a draw from this. But what are your thoughts on either of these two teams as we head into the next round of games on Friday?
I mean, I guess on paper, England, I mean, they can go 13 or 14 deep and be really good. I think that's something scary for the U.S. just because the U.S. doesn't have that luxury. I think the best player coming off the bench oftentimes is either going to be Kellen Acosta or Brendan Aronson. Maybe like a Gio Reyna if he is sitting still. So the U.S. is not quite as deep. I think the thing with England, I think you look at England and Iran. Iran just did not look good at all. If you put them up against Qatar, I mean that's how bad like that it was. Qatar was awful, but Iran was just a level above them. I think in just terms of just looking. I mean, they didn't look like they were going to get through England at all today. They just had times where it was just like,
I
and
know
England's
when
defense
they
is
get
awful.
2 goals,
Yeah,
it flatters them a little bit
right.
more than it probably should.
And they got a 103rd minute penalty or something stupid. But the other thing too is England's defense is awful. So that's how bad Iran was. Harry Maguire is very exposed in that backside. I mean, if you can act, and I think Jordan, the way we kind of funnel the ball inside, I think you just attack Harry Maguire. You go directly at him, and he's going to make a mistake. I mean, he's shown that time and time again that he's willing to make mistakes, and you just force him to make those mistakes. So I think that's a big one. But I think looking at the group, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Wales finished as second. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, the U.S. I think is still heavy favorites to kind of shake loose and get to that second spot. But I think if you're Wales, you got to feel pretty good, right? I mean, out of this, you honestly, especially a comeback draw to grab a point when you were probably on the brink of death. Because if you have 3-3 and then 0-0 at the bottom, I mean, the two U.S. and I think England would have run away with it because I think you play a little bit more conservative. Both of the teams do on Friday against each other. And then I think that would have been an interesting. It would have been interesting to see how they handled that. I think the U.S. would have benefited from it just because they've got nothing to lose at that point, and the U.S. would have done better. I think having the ropes just absolutely unleashed. But here now, I think you have to go in and at least get a point if you're the United States. You got to try to beat them, and I think for some reason, Jordan, I just feel confident against England, and maybe I shouldn't, but for some reason I do.
That's how I felt against LAFC. So there's a
I don't
problem.
know. I just feel like really I think because I watch all these, like we had Raheem Sterling, we've had Jack Grealish, I've watched Bukayo Saka. You watch Jude Bellingham. I think we match up pretty good with them. I do. I feel like we have a solid defense. I think our goalkeeper is a lot better than people give him credit for. I think Tim Ream and Walker are good when they don't do things that are stupid. So come on, England.
Joe.
No, Joe. Bad Joe.
I can't wait for Friday, honestly.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's the game that's going to be, I think, the most exciting to watch.
Do you think there's a realistic chance we win?
Yeah.
At all? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, like I said, I'm looking at these tables or all these World Cups. A lot of these teams are moving on with 4 points, 5 points. And some of these teams are going to drop a point or two. Like, I don't think England is getting out with 9 points. That would be like historically for them. Joe thinks we have 10% chance. I'll take it. 10% chance. I'll take a 10%.
I think Vegas even has us a better odds than Joe does. I think Vegas gave us like a 20-something% chance to win.
But anything could happen. Right on the world stage. It's a World Cup. I don't think England thought with their 2010 team that we would draw with them, right? Mm-hmm. I think the players are going for the win, but I think the fans will take a draw. And I think that is the players think they can beat any team in the world. No, it's absolutely fine, Joe. Don't worry. I'm good. I'm good with that. Look, I understand it, right? This is a young team. There's a lot on the line. It's just fun banter, and I'm sure England's feeling themselves after that win against Iran.
I would be, yeah.
I would be. I mean, look, if we blew Wales out 6-2 like that, I would be like, we're absolutely beating England.
And Iran's not that bad.
Yeah, they haven't really been. Iran hasn't been that bad, but. It is a question of, was Iran that poor or was England that good? And I think it's a little bit of both. And I think we'll see which way that leans a little bit more for Iran on how they play against Wales, how that game shakes out. Because Wales, people could say, and I can say this too, that I thought the USA should have won this game, but really a draw is a fair result. The USA absolutely played the hell out of that first half, and they absolutely... Wales went the total opposite way in that second half and played much better than we did. So I think at the end, if you're going a goal for a half, it is pretty even for 1-1. Like, I think, and I would, if you had told me 1-1 against Wales, I would have taken that in a heartbeat, because I know that you can get out.
Lost it.
You can get out with 4 or 5 points. We'll be fine. And yeah, USA has improved, but yeah, the final third, that's the thing, right? And that is something that we're going to have to be able to score against England. We had Dempsey with the help of Rob Green get that goal in 2010, but I don't know if we have that player in this team to really like pull that Dempsey goal was out of nowhere, just ripping a shot that Green bundled into the back of the net. I don't know if we have somebody that's going to try that shot like we did here. And yeah, you see, I disagree with that, though, Joe. I think maybe talent-wise we might be better, but I think a lot of people underestimate Wales. And the USA really struggles against teams that just sit in and invite the pressure. So I was actually really impressed with that first half. And then it like completely swung the other way in the second half, where I was like, oh, this is the team we kind of remember for the US.
But it does go to what he says. Like, it's that inability where they have 5 or 6 guys. I will say it's the flip opposite. I do feel like their defense is completely exposed, where I feel like ours is pretty damn solid. So I feel like our back 4 or 5 with Tyler Adams, who I think is playing some of the best soccer in the world right now, as far as the 6 is concerned. I mean, I really do feel like that back
Oh, he
line
was my
without.
pick. He
Yeah,
was my pick for a player that's going to get like
yeah.
noticed. And this game, he played really, really well. He made some good challenges. Um, yeah. So yeah, Joe thinks we'll struggle physically with England. See, I think we'll get physical though.
We
We're
played
used to the physicality,
CONCACAF. I
but
was like, yeah, and then
I think where England will shine is the
tactically, yeah,
creativity side of it,
yeah.
which we don't have. Like they have people that can whip in a set piece. They have people that we don't, and that is the thing that's going to ultimately probably cause some real frustration for the U.S. against England on Friday.
We don't have
But
Jude Bellingham either.
I'll
Like,
say 2-2.
yeah,
I'll say a 2-2 draw for Friday. That's what I'm going to go with.
I'm
And
gonna
I'm going to
go.
say USA draw it late. It's like a total opposite of this game.
I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna go to 2-1
USA?
United States. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. I feel like this is exactly what we've watched with this team. They like the big boys. I don't know why they like to be able to kind of step up and go, okay, you might be Goliath, but we're David. So he was for not what is he 19? Unbelievable. Like the
Yeah.
fact that he was so composed. I mean, he didn't even look like he was on a big stage at all. Like it looked like he was just playing some pickup soccer with the boys in the
Yeah,
backyard.
19
So,
years old. Yeah.
gee. And honestly,
Remember, they
our
retired
best
his
player.
number. They retired his number at Birmingham.
It's true. It's true.
After only
16
playing
years
like
old.
a few games.
16 years old. And I think he played 4 games or 5 games or something stupid.
It wasn't a lot. Let me check. I have his stats here. He played 41 for Birmingham, but he had 4 goals. But
Yeah.
it was only a year, 2019 to
16
2020.
years old, though.
They
Are
retired
you
his number.
crapping me? Like, could you
They don't
imagine
do
if
that
we
a
had a
lot in
16-year-old?
soccer either.
Yeah. He's going to be a great City player. I can't wait.
Just take him off of there.
Yeah. But again, I think Jordan, seriously,
I'll take that every day of the week, Joe. England first, USA second. I'll take that
I'll take
every
that.
day of the week.
I do think, Joe, I was always hesitant to pick against England just because England's known to choke. But I've told many people that I thought England stood a really good chance to at least make a run for the final. I just don't know. I don't know, Jordan. They just seem to always give it up somewhere. I don't know why, but it seems to be England's.
Well, yeah, the Euros they gave it up in the final though.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure they'll take that, get to the final again. I'm sure they'll take that. But
my the company I work for, everybody's British, and today I jumped on a video call, and they had the bosses, the owner, they had his head photoshopped on Gareth Southgate. Can't deal with another fine. Oh man, that'll be bad.
Inducing, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine if it was against like Argentina and Messi? It'd be great.
Well, I just did that in FIFA and I blew them out. So I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just Messi. I'm rooting for like an underdog
or something.
Yeah, I'm rooting for like a Croatia or like somebody that's just out of left field for it.
Yeah, once we're knocked out. I mean, like Croatia, I was rooting for them in the final last time because 4 years ago.
Last year,
it feels like last year. That's how sad that is. But yeah, Croatia was a lot of fun because they were, nobody really expected them to get there.
Right. Came from behind and won a couple of games to get to where they were.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch Serbia play. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of their team is interesting. I think they're a dark horse. So.
Oh yeah, but before we get out of here, Group A, Qatar beat Ecuador. I mean, sorry, that's what they wanted to happen. That's what the ref tried to make happen. Ecuador won 2-0. Sorry. And then the Netherlands beat Senegal 2-0, and they saved it for late, 84th and 90+9 for Netherlands to get their 3 points. Oh, Senegal has us in the bag. I don't know. Without Mane, I'm a little
Mane.
I'm a little worried. I thought if they'd gotten out of there 0-0, that would have been huge for Senegal. We'll see what happens next. So those were the two Group A matches. Tomorrow starts the first 4-game schedule in the World Cup. 5 a.m. Eastern time. Argentina versus Saudi Arabia. That's on FS1. Then at 8 o'clock is Denmark and Tunisia at 8 o'clock, like I just said, on FS1. All right, thanks, Joe. Yeah, we'll see you Friday if you jump on here. But good luck to you and your team, except for against us. And then Mexico and Poland on Big Fox at 11 o'clock, and also on Big Fox is France, the world champions, going up against the mighty Socceroos of Australia,
Oh,
and that
Socceroo.
will be tomorrow's World Cup matches. Wednesday,
Ooh, these are
which I'll just tell
tasty.
you everything. I'll just tell you everything through Friday because that's the next time I
These
record.
are great games.
Wednesday. Oh, Wednesday is really great. Okay, Germany and Japan. Oh, sorry. Let's start off 5 a.m. Morocco and Croatia. There you go. You want to wake up at 5 a.m. on Wednesday?
I might be.
Morocco and
It's one of the only
Croatia.
games I can watch.
8 o'clock. Germany and Japan. Once allies in World War II, now they're foes.
Fox is going to tweet that.
They'll say Germany versus Spain, and you'll be like, dude, that's the wrong matchup. Spain and Costa Rica at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. And then at 2 o'clock is Belgium versus Canada. Wednesday is like the day of the World Cup.
It's a good day.
That is the day. Thursday, 5 a.m., Switzerland versus Cameroon. Everyone can sleep in for that if you want. 8 a.m., Uruguay versus South Korea. That one should be pretty good. 11 o'clock, Portugal versus Ghana, a rematch of the 2014 group stage matches. Brazil versus Serbia at 2 p.m. Then Friday, the games we're waiting for. Wales and Iran at 5 o'clock. Qatar versus Senegal at 8. We'll see if Qatar can buy off those refs. 11 o'clock, Netherlands and Ecuador. The two teams at the top of their group. We'll see how it plays out. And then at 2 p.m., England versus United States of America. So that is the schedule until the next time we go live Friday. Like I said, it might just be me. I might see if I can find somebody to rope into this. But
Jack might be available.
No, he's going on. I'm actually
won't be
recording him. I'm actually recording with him right after this for Black Panther. But yes, Friday after the USA England. So what is that? Probably like a 4:30 start time is what I'm looking at. Maybe starting to go live. If anybody wants to,
Chris Smith, maybe.
If anybody wants to complain about the result or the subs that were used, the players that didn't feature, I'll be live on here. You can leave us comments and we can read them. But I just want to thank anyone who stopped in. Thank you, Joe. I think you're probably already gone at this point, but thanks for stopping by and leaving some comments. All right. Anything else, Logan, before we get out of here?
The Battle of 1776, Friday. I'm excited. I think it'll be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to it. I know, honestly, Jordan, I think the English fans are probably a little bit more nervous than we are. I think we're more excited at the chance to finally get a whack at them again. So I'm hoping
I think they're totally overconfident right now.
I hope so. I really do, because that usually does not go well for them. Overconfidence is not.
This is a new generation, though. This is a new generation of England players, and
same thing with the U.S. though. And that's something I think people forget.
And Southgate and Greg are friends, I believe. I think he said he looks up. They've had conversations. He's looked up to Southgate, which a lot of people said, "Well, that makes sense." But
I think he's taller.
So this could be a lot of fun. These might be people that are actually kind of familiar. Like you said, you have a lot of players that play on the EPL that are going up against each other in this game. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And you know, what can I say other than go USA? Which Ian Dark made a reference to today. That was really great.